Welcome back to another episode of the Briefcase in the Barn. I don't know what episode this is. I haven't figured that out yet.
It's complicated.
It's complicated, but it is sponsored by Furiously Curious Coaching. So I got a testimonial here I'm going to read that I got a couple weeks ago from Dave Preston from Grey Ops. He owns a CNC shop down south. I'll read it. I quote, "I did not think I needed coaching. To be honest, I fought the process at first. The more we talked, the more I started realizing what I wanted and what I was doing were different. Constant challenging of my beliefs with no opinions given. The main challenge I faced was time management. With a fast-paced growing business and 4 kids at home, Kyle was able to give suggestions and experiments to try which helped with my time. More importantly, the whole process gave me clarity like I have never had before. There is a difference between doing things blindly and doing things fully aware. Kyle is incredibly talented with knowledgeable about coaching. As stubborn as I am, he was able to get through and make a difference." End of quote. So that was pretty cool to get that from Dave. So anyways, if you're interested in coaching and the coaching offer, helping you be successful in your business without sacrificing faith, family, free time, all that kind of stuff, I'd be interested in talking to you. So you can text me at 604-703-9045. Just text me the word interested. We'll set up a meeting and chat and see if it's a good fit and do my 10-week coaching program. Thank you for that. How's it going, Gary?
Crazy day.
Crazy day. Started early at 4 a.m.
Yeah, which I don't normally do. People always assume that because I have a dairy farm that I'm a hard worker, but
Oh, you don't even live on the farm.
I don't live on the farm. I have lived on our farms at multiple different times, different farms over the last 13 years since I started milking cows. But right now we're not living on the farm. And so, yeah, just one of the workers is hurt, had some issues with his leg, so he was not working. And there's another young guy that does a lot of work all Christmas holidays. He worked, but he had to go back to school today. So I fed cows this morning. And yeah, it was good.
You bring my hop?
No, the Filipinos, man, they eat some different food. It's like they don't communicate with me because they're worried they're going to say the wrong thing. I mean, they speak pretty good English, but it's almost like they think like something bad's going to. I'm like, no, just communicate.
I wonder if that's a cultural thing because I've out of the Philippines.
Okay.
And I get that same sense.
That you're not getting all the goods?
I'm not getting all the questions.
I can tell you
I'm
that if I had
questions.
to speak in another language, like I'd be limited conversation too, but they speak really well. I probably actually should really clarify with them how well they
They're
communicate.
going to listen to this and be like, what the heck does he think?
Yeah. I think that they're really worried about job security. And the guy who ran my farm,
How long are they here for?
they're on 2-year programs, but like they did a full 2 years. Now they're on their second 2 years.
That's different than the Mexican program then, right?
Well, it's just, there's 2 different programs. There's the 2-year thing and there's the 8-month. And I should know the names. I think one's a SOP program or something and the other one.
I've never seen Mexicans do the 2-year one.
Lots do. Lots of guys that you would know that have businesses here would have guys on 2-year. A lot of both.
Milkers, I guess.
For sure, milkers. But I mean, a lot of the 8-month deals, the seasonal like greenhouses and
I guess it's better for them
nurseries.
anyway. Yeah. They want the 8-month deal. They don't want the full-time guys.
No, who's that?
The greenhouses.
Well, yeah, because they're
so
have
seasonal.
seasons where they're very seasonal. And so for us, the deal was I made with them is that they do the 2 years, and on the second 2 years, I would put them on a high skill program so they could get their PR, permanent resident, and then they can sponsor and bring their families over.
what year are they
and then after that, they're free agents.
Yeah. What year are they on?
They're in year 3. Yeah. They're well into year. Actually, I think they're almost done year 3 already. Yes, because last Christmas they had done 2 years, and like the sacrifice they make is like our forefathers. Like they're literally.
Which ones? John Calvin?
No, not that far back. Like our grandparents that like just got on a boat with nothing and tried to make a better life for their children and grandchildren and moving to Canada. Which, in hindsight, I mean.
So if I go to Tampa, I'll be like a forefather?
No, you're just trying to run away from yourself and you're going to pack your big noggin with you. But they,
Love it.
Yeah, but the,
At least I can smoke in the shower.
that's the only benefit of that schnauzer too, eh? Other than that, you're knocking stuff off bookshelves. But they're phenomenal guys, and it's very interesting because we're having this seismic shift politically, like anti-immigration, which I don't totally agree with. I mean, I understand why people are like that, and definitely we had an unhealthy level of immigration in Canada in the last 8 years, like where
or not even. I don't know if the amount was that unhealthy as much as that they just didn't do any due diligence. Literally, let anybody in.
Well, not even that. Even if they had, it's like there's not enough schools.
There's way too many people.
And it's fascinating because the GDP increased So we went through this, this years where it hit a multitude of sins because of all the people coming in. In the same breath, nothing's been improved. Now we're cutting off the people. GDP is going to slow down. We're going to finally enter the recession way after anyone thought we would. I listened to so many year-end podcasts in the last 2 weeks, just of people like talking about how, things actually haven't, in a lot of ways, haven't been as bad. But unemployment is rising. And I think that will just continue to rise, where businesses are just getting squeezed. And fascinating news today. I don't know when this will we don't even know when this will get released, but it could get released in the next day or two, or otherwise in a week from now. Big news in Parliament Hill that our Prime Minister has resigned.
Yes.
What is that?
No, he didn't even resign. He's just waiting until the next leader is elected. He's still Prime Minister, because you can walk away instantly and get like an interim.
He didn't do that.
He didn't do that, because that's what the Conservative guy did last year. I think Andrew Scheer.
No, Aaron O'Toole.
He was.
Yes,
they were never.
Aaron
They were never
O'Toole.
leaders. They were never leaders though. But they get temporary leaders really quickly within like a week. But he's going to be the Prime Minister for the next 3 months.
Okay. And do you follow Liberal politics enough to know who might run for it?
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to run?
Mark Carney.
Yeah.
And Crazy Lady.
Krista Freeland.
Yeah.
What makes her crazy? The way she nods her head?
Everything about her.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways,
The twitch.
She twitch. Yeah, she does.
Being able to talk for 20 minutes and afterwards being like,
What did you just say?
Yeah.
That's how people look at me when I talk, actually, come to think of it.
but I don't know either of those people that well. I mean, whoever it's going to be is.
I think it's going to be Christy Clark, and I think she'll win.
Oh.
And I think that, there's not enough time.
Do you think
now.
she'll win against Polyev?
No, she won't.
Okay.
It's going to be
she'll win the
it's going to
leadership
be a
race.
Kim Campbell moment for those that are old enough to know the politics of the 80s.
She's going to be Prime Minister for a couple months.
Yeah,
She'll
be the second female prime minister. I mean, in a lot of ways, she'd be a great fit for the federal Liberal parties. I think that she is, in my opinion, way too centrist, unless her policies have changed. Because she, for those that don't know, she was the leader of the BC Liberals, which is ironically, I don't want to say
it was the most conservative party.
It was definitely it was called, we'd call it the coalition party. And you had Laurie Thronis on, who did a great job explaining it when he was on. That was a great
I remember
podcast.
Christy Clark was at somebody's house here.
Yeah.
Like probably 10 years ago when she was campaigning for a by-election. And I went there and I got to ask her some questions. Asked her about abortion.
Okay.
She had a non-answer.
Yeah, non-answer. Yeah. So that's the camp she would fall in. And to be fair, that's the same answer that Pierre Poilievre would fall in.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in Canada, except for maybe a few stragglers here and there.
People that'll take a stand for truth. But anyways, I predict that she will, if she does run, I think she'll beat Krista Freeland and Carney.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I could totally be wrong.
Okay, we got an objection to marriage meetings.
Oh, interesting.
I'll read it. This was from
Is this person married?
Yes, this person's married.
Okay.
It's quite
Not that
old.
you couldn't comment
It's
if
quite
you weren't,
old,
but
and it's from Europe, not from Holland at all.
okay, different European country.
Actually, no. Now that I'm trying to think about it,
Doesn't matter.
yeah. Anyways, they've lived in Canada for a long time. That was so foreign to him. His words were that this is way too North American, too businesslike. That's not the way God intended marriage to be. For him and his wife talked through everything naturally during the day. They married quite in sync on a lot of things, and they know what each other are basically thinking. They have disagreements, and she's Arminian and he's Calvinistic. But it's not an issue. They are entitled to their own viewpoints. My take is that the show is tailored to guys in Dutch culture who have marriage issues.
Well said, sir.
And
Well said. Well said, sir.
I think there's something to be said for that, though. Like that, if you spend more time together, that maybe it's not like. I just think if you're not doing anything, it's a great start. If you're not talking at all or really communicating,
it's similar to anything that is helpful to somebody. You could always argue that some people don't need it, and that's totally true.
Yeah.
But the reality is that there's a thousand ways to make things better, and you're obviously not going to do all of them.
Yeah.
So this is one that, and
but also let people bail out on doing something because there's better ways.
Yeah, or it's too business-like. It's like, oh, I'm too business-like. I'll just say nothing. Got a really healthy business there. No communication. I do think, in defense, the person probably has a great marriage.
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, ask him.
Listens,
You're good at that. The awkward questions from Kyle. I should have a segment called that. I do find that people, because it's interesting, like we've been through the last couple weeks have been Christmas holidays, and our life is still pretty busy because we have 6 kids, 10 and under,
Yeah.
but way slower than normal. Like just obviously,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
like freedom sessions is not happening.
Oh, yeah.
All these regular,
Yeah.
there's no church.
So are you okay?
Yeah, I'm really okay.
You're more okay. I thought you'd be
more
less okay.
No, I'm totally okay. As okay as I've ever been, which is not that great. But anyways, the where I was going with that is that we are just dialoguing more, but we still like, and so this is just a personality thing where obviously, and now granted, people use their personalities to justify a host of things that they shouldn't, where they say, oh, I'm just this way, or I'm just stubborn, or I'm just quiet, and it's all BS. Like we all need to, I need to talk less, and there's some people that need to talk more. But for my wife and I, all of a sudden in this period, we are just dialoguing a little better, but still Marie, like we have our marriage meeting on Sundays, and she was like looking forward to that, like uninterrupted time where I'm relatively paying attention, focused, right? So, but that's good feedback. And I mean, I find the part interesting about the theology because it's fascinating how like churches have split up over whether like there should be pews or chairs or, pathetic things. Yeah. So it's interesting how people can look past. Do you think people should get married if they disagree on things like that?
Arminianism versus Calvinism?
Well, that's just one thing, but somebody who's believes in believer baptism and somebody who's Paedo Baptist, do you think they should be
I would say
a couple?
At least talk about where you're going to teach your kids.
Okay.
Like if you can come to a pretty good agreement that, hey, we're going to just teach them both.
And they're going to make up their own mind.
They're going to make up their own mind, but you're going to pick either one. You're going to pick a church that, focuses on one or the other.
Some churches do both, eh?
How does that work?
I don't know, but it's for sure a thing. I've heard it mentioned multiple times.
I can see that
people always say our church should do that.
Doesn't get talked about a lot as like an issue. When it gets like hammered every single week that like, hey, this is a really big issue and stuff like that. Well, then, you're going to feel super strongly about it when you're 18, and probably not want to do something.
It's fascinating how people that are taught that and maybe even in their heart know it's important will still date somebody who thinks something totally different. I mean, I guess because they're either just ignoring it or just don't care.
Just don't care.
Or think that they'll change the person or do the flirt and convert thing.
What I don't understand is when you are a Christian, believe in Jesus, and you date and marry someone that's not. It's one thing if you become a Christian after you're married and stuff like that, but if you're like before you hand, that confuses me because if you're not a Christian, like we talked about before on the show, you hate God, you're an enemy of God, you have no love for him at all, and then you're going to go marry someone that does love God and loves Jesus. Like if one is saved and one isn't, and like that's like on the most fundamental issue, you're not aligned.
It affects so many things.
And there's actually a command in the Bible that says, "Don't get unequally yoked." Don't be unequally yoked. But that one I don't understand because I
like that verse too because it doesn't just apply to marriage,
business and everything.
I would think it applies to a lot of things where people just don't think of it.
Yeah.
Like I often hear of people in my world that are like trying to buy houses together, trying to buy business, like not that you have to be exactly on the same level because you're not.
But values matter.
Really matter. Yeah.
Like if you really, for example, value like, hey, I want to be like do taxes by the book. I don't want to do any shady stuff. Like jump around every corner, and then you have a business partner that's like, hey, I'm totally okay.
Very problematic.
Like I'm all cool,
very problematic.
all cash jobs, everything else like that.
Very
like,
problematic. Yeah.
Then you're going to be in trouble really quick.
Yeah.
Another one. Hey guys, Jordan Peterson is coming to Abbotsford with a show titled "We Who Wrestle with God." I'd love to hear your view of Peterson, especially his view of religion, the Bible. Seems like he views it more as a guide for life than events that actually took place. I don't actually know his view of it. I know that he's been reading it and teaching on it for a while, but that whole thing freaks me out. And I actually have it.
What freaks you out?
Well, he has a huge following of men, mostly young men. I think it's all kinds
and
of
women,
people.
to be fair,
and taught a lot of good things. I think he's a good guy like that.
If nothing else, my kid cleans his room now.
Exactly, yeah, things like that. But then now, as an unbeliever, you're teaching about God and Christ, and all these people are listening to this, and you're actually, you're getting information.
He's very influential.
Yeah, and so but I think that's in a culture as a whole. You have like these big conservative talk shows like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson, and there's a whole horde of other ones, and a lot of them aren't Christians. Like Ben's a Jew. I don't know what Jordan is, but they're being followed, and because they talk about biblical things and stuff like that, they're put in the same camp as Christians or a lot of Christians.
Well, he talks about the Bible a lot more than a lot of Christians do. Jordan Peterson does.
Yeah, that too. But I think it's still when you're getting non-Christians to teach you about the Bible, I would just it'd be hesitant.
Pretty
like,
terrifying.
Like yeah.
So I should know what.
Maybe even not being hesitant is not even a good idea. I would, like maybe you can listen to it. Mind you, my dad was actually taught. So my dad got his master's in theology before he applied to be a pastor.
Okay.
Or before he got accepted to become a pastor. He applied when he was 19.
So was that a different seminary than he would have went to if
Yes.
he had been accepted to the?
Yeah. So the NRC
first?
was a domination. So he went when he was 19. They didn't let him in. He went when he was 24 and they didn't let him in. And when he was 29 and they let him in when he was 29. But when he was in his early 20s, he still wanted to learn theology. So he went to a secular university that taught theology and he got his master's in theology.
Fascinating.
But he was taught by a lot of unbelievers, like agnostics, but they were teaching theology. And so they really, I think, pushed him quite hard too on like, is this actually true and stuff like that.
Okay. But probably is healthy for him.
Yeah. And he
In some
actually
ways.
learned how to study the Bible and, you know, knows Latin and Greek. And
I have been to Jordan Peterson. Like he was in Abbotsford 3 or 4 years ago and I went.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that talk. Now, I haven't listened to him near as much as some people, like very little, really, very small bits. My wife's read a bunch of his books. Marie's a lot more knowledgeable. Like if she was here, she'd actually be able to answer the question the guy asked, the person asked. But I guess I just feel like he's a common sense person and our world needs more common sense people.
Yes.
So like, good on him. He's got a platform. He's very intelligent. He's very good at articulating. He can stand up to bullies that are, we on the right, if we're going to use the term right and left, are accused of being mean and angry, and which I don't think is.
Yeah, he just did an interview with
he
Polyev.
just stands up very well too. I didn't watch that.
Okay, yeah. So he did an interview with Pierre Polyev, who's the conservative leader, most likely be the next prime minister of Canada, and just a very good conversation. And Polyev too. Like you can just common sense.
Did he ask him hard questions?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would ask him much harder questions, but
He didn't ask him if he was in favor of abortion, did he?
no.
No. Is Jordan Peterson?
Actually, I don't know. I didn't listen to the end part.
Is Jordan Peterson?
I
Really?
don't know. Actually, it's a good question.
That is a good question. Somebody's Googling it right now.
Yeah.
I will later.
So, anyways, thanks for sending that in.
Maybe maybe the Furiously Curious will buy a booth at the venue.
I doubt it.
With all the Patreon money.
I doubt it. I'll have him on the show though. I'll shoot him a text and be like, "Hey,
Jordan Peterson,
come to my house." And
can you imagine the amount of requests he gets to get on people's podcasts?
it's insane.
It would
I know
be insane.
Wesley Huff just put out a little 2-minute video on YouTube and saying, "I'm probably not going to debate you."
I watched that with Marie. We laughed really hard. That's worth watching.
Yes.
And it was another shot at Billy Carson, not Cosby.
Yeah. But yes.
Son of a beater. Billy Carson.
But
he just said he could accept that one on short notice because he didn't need more than 24 hours to prepare.
Yeah.
But most people, he takes very serious, and so he doesn't respond to every request anyways. He is a humble, nice man, but he was just being a bit of a...
Yeah, I had no idea who he was until this thing came
whole
out.
thing, yeah.
And now the one with Rogan hasn't come out yet. It's been a week, so I don't know if it still will or if he's going to shelve it or...
Okay. Does he do that? Does he do a lot? Do you think Rogan records quite a few and just says, not entertaining enough?
Usually it seems like he records and they go up like next day. I mean, that's what we would do too if I had a guy.
So what would be with Rogan, would they, no guests would get paid probably to be on there?
No.
And how does Rogan make his money? Did he sign a contract with Spotify? Is that
that's ended. So
that's
he's everywhere again, but he gets it through ads.
Advertising.
Yeah. So if you like, I've seen him advertise.
Is he on YouTube then?
Yeah.
But YouTube Premium, YouTube's paying him
his
to be on?
own
How does
ad.
that
So
work?
like, I think there was a jean company that he spawned a couple years ago. So like, Levi's will call Joe Rogan and say, "Hey, do a little plug for us. We'll send you jeans, and here's $10 million."
Okay.
Or however much money it is.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
The monetization of people, like how they monetize themselves, is very interesting because I'm sure there's people that are very famous who make way less money. It'd just be depending on how they're how business savvy they are and how they can.
That's definitely true. But there's some guys who will do it on every angle they can, right?
Yeah.
So I got merch coming soon, by the way.
If it was you'd be on the side of a CN rail car. Oh no, hang on, you just painted that yourself. Downtown Chilliwack.
That'd be fun. You ever done graffiti? I would see it on the trains.
Man, those trays aren't long enough to put your nose on the train.
Oh man, lovely. It always sucked playing hide and seek as a kid, eh?
Because your nose is always sticking out?
Yeah, I'd be sitting in the bush, my nose would be sticking out. Okay. What else you got?
Oh, I had more stuff. I put it on there. I think we're going to go into the overtime.
No, we're only at 21 minutes. We got at least 9 more minutes.
No, we do know. We have no time constraints.
Perfection is the enemy of good.
I think we already talked about it. But you talked about it today.
You and I talked about it together.
On the phone today.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because I was telling you about my day, how I had a few challenging meetings today with people that were upset with me about different things.
Yeah.
Calling me out on stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it deserved for sure. Apologies were needed. So I did that. Other things, just clarify. And it's fascinating. I mean, some people love conflict. I don't. But what I do love is freedom. And I don't like having people think things of me that aren't true or just having unresolved. I just don't like unresolved conflict.
Or like a weekly commitment.
I don't like weekly commitments.
It's like the podcast.
Can't stand it. Ready.
Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to do like just 50 of them in a row and then be done. But no, or just never do it again. But the
guys, can you do me a favor? Anybody that's listening that knows Gary's number, send him a text and give him your opinion if you should quit or not.
Yeah, just let me say, hey, you know what, Gary? It's time. We've heard enough.
Yeah.
The take a hiatus. The 2025 year, the year of sabbatical. I said to my wife, it's going to take a year and go to live in Holland.
Holland, that's an awful place to go.
Why would you say that?
Because it's like half the population of Canada on the size of Vancouver Island. It's like you're packed in there like sardines.
There's country there. There's dairy farms there.
And ridiculous amounts of regulation. It's like Justin Trudeau on crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of regulation here.
They have freaking Dells. That's pretty good.
Okay. No, I just thought it'd be cool to learn the language. Know what all the people are saying about me behind my back here in Rosedale. Anyway,
Actually, on that note, I had a meeting with a company today, and I'm going to see if they can take all the audio from my podcasts and translate them all into Dutch. And I'm going to start a Dutch page, YouTube channel, and Spotify account, and then just do all the podcasts in Holland because I got quite a few people there, and I'm like, might as well.
I don't think it would sound that great, would it? Or they would just do a total voiceover and
so
they would turn it into so they take your voice, colloquial language.
Yeah. And they know,
because anything funny in Dutch doesn't translate with a hill of beans in English, eh?
No, I mean, there's going to be things that don't make sense still, but.
Like, do you know the saying, like, on a rainy day when, like, there's a Dutch saying it's a good day to divide the inheritance?
No.
Okay. How about a cat in a corner does strange things? Have you heard that one? You don't know any of these sayings? Okay.
No. I mean, I was 5, but I know how to talk Dutch.
You do?
Yeah. Dutch fluently, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't know any of these sayings?
No, those sayings. I know a few sayings. My dad always told me, Giel, that's my name, right?
Giel.
Ik draai je arm eruit, dan moet de bloedige eind slaak je over je kop.
Something about slapping you over the head.
Yeah.
With your arm?
Yeah, he's going to pull my arm out, and with the bloody end, hit me over the head.
I like it. That's funny. Should have done it one more time. A little harder.
Yeah.
My kids always ask me too how I was parented, eh? If I was spanked or if I was beat, or even today on the way to school, they're asking like, hey, were you ever suspended?
I was suspended a lot.
So I had a lot of problems at school. I wouldn't say I wouldn't be suspended if I went back, but I just wouldn't have went to school. I get a lot of trouble from people saying that, eh? The other night I was at a party. I was just standing beside two parents. There was some kid there.
People hate honesty.
No, they just don't like adults that tell their kids that they don't have to go to school. But I just think a lot of kids shouldn't be in school, not past like grade 8 or 9. Like,
what?
Once you know how to do what? Do you disagree with me?
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Why is that?
Because you don't learn the basics till at least grade 12.
That is a load of BS. If you know how to read, write, and do fractions and understand decimals, a lot of the things after that are completely useless in our society.
I mean, there's a lot of things, and if I think about like grade 9, 10, 11, what I learned was not that much.
Well, it just isn't relevant to what you're going to do. And I guess more importantly, it's totally fine to do things that you don't want to do. So there's some skill, there's some benefit even of that. But a kid that is causing a disruption and ruining for the academic kids that are in the class or whatever, the kids that are actually needing to learn what they're being taught, like with a graph, I don't know if people used to use a graphing kit. When us, it was like a TI-83 and you were learning whatever. Can't remember a thing. I took all the hard math classes, but even chemistry and biology, like if you're going to become a nurse or a doctor or anything, you need the sciences.
I think it is a kind of a school system issue because I know in Holland they have it like...
It's a little more, and it's getting better here.
It's like in late elementary, I think already. They already start putting you in a different school.
In a track and
stuff like that.
We went to Peterson in Utrecht, I think it was, when I was in grade 11 or something. I was in a choir, in the school choir.
Yeah. You sound like a choir boy.
I I started saying so much I ended up in jail. Anyways, just the idea of being disruptive. Like, I mean, it's not like I'm encouraging my kids to drop out of school. It's more, if they're going to work, like, get to work. And in our culture, more than ever before, if you are hardworking,
Yes, I agree with
you are fine. Like you don't need straight A's. Like, that was the 90s. There was a different season. Everybody had to get a degree. It's all BS. Like, now, if you just show up and you work really hard, you will make a lot of money. Like, that's a rarity in our culture. So, like,
not even a lot of money. You'll just make a good wage. Like, there's just not a lot of like employees that employers can rely on.
Or just giver. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
So I guess that's where I go with that, and then you have like a grade 10 or 11 student who's just fooling around and just being a big disruption and causing headaches for everybody. Get the kid out of there.
Yeah. And parents, hug your child. That's probably why he's messed up.
No, kids are just human beings and they're ignorant. Like,
oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they're low.
No problem.
No problem.
No problem.
Beat your kids.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. Do you not agree with spanking kids?
No, I don't agree with it.
Okay. Hands are for loving?
Yeah. Well, I think you can like, I think especially like in the really younger years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you can like a little smack on the hand or something like that if they're not supposed to touch something. But I believe in natural consequences more than anything.
Okay. So severe beatings for...
No, definitely not.
Not
it's
helpful.
Not gonna help your kid
Okay.
feel loved. I mean, the word discipline.
What does that mean?
Disciple.
Okay.
To disciple your kids, to walk alongside them.
Okay.
I mean, if you're discipling somebody, and they screw up because you're teaching them and they don't know the answer yet, they haven't learned yet, and beating him, I mean, you're going to make them scared.
So what would be the natural consequences for a kid if they're disobedient? When you think that, okay, like a kid's going to struggle and they're, let's just say 11 or 12 or 13, 14, those are ages where obviously like they're not getting kicked out, but they're, those are tough years
losing,
as a kid.
Like losing privileges. Like if you take your hockey stick and smack your brother across the head, well, you're just not playing hockey for a month.
Okay.
Or, Malachi just keyed my car.
Yes, he did.
So he's collecting pop bottles from everyone he can. That's why he asked.
Oh, that's why he asked me how many I have. That's funny. I told him I had quite a bit, so he was pretty pumped.
Yeah. I told him to go back to you. I'm like, go push him again. Ask if you can have him. He didn't want to ask again, but yeah. So he's collecting bottles on it to pay. It's going to take him forever to pay for it, but
but he's got a long time because he's really young, so he totally can do it.
Yeah, but not natural consequences as hard as possible. But sometimes it is hard. But I think if you have a good relationship with your kid and they are believed in and loved well and stuff like that, it also, you generally will have less issues. I really found this when I did the 40-40-20 rule with Malachi when he was quite a bit younger still. He was 4 years old. But my coach, I think I said it before, but my coach said, write down how many times a day you're telling him to do something. It was like 55 times in one day for a 4-year-old. I mean, anybody that told me to do something that many times in a day.
5 times, you're done. Too much. Revolt.
And so she said, make 20% of your interaction with him, like, stop doing that, whatever, like a command.
Negative.
But 40% a compliment out of the blue. Hey, Malachi, I love you, and his hair. And 40% of the time, a compliment after he did something well.
Yeah. Because that is another thing that you can do, is that you can turn your children, and we struggle with that, right? Because we're so results driven in our house, where it's just like, you worry that these kids are just going to be like, oh, they're proud of me because I did the dishwasher and I work. Yeah, which like we're not trying to create that. So we do intentionally tell them. But,
so make sure, you love them when they're not like just being them, like nothing. Yeah. But when we start doing that, the amount of times we had to tell him to stop doing things went way down.
Not 55 times.
No, because he felt way better about himself. He didn't feel like I'm just a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And so, loving your kids well is one of the...
It's super important.
Yeah.
It's interesting. People are very divided on it. I see. I mean, there again, it's just social media.
Usually the people that are okay with doing it were hit themselves.
Yeah. And they think, man, I turned out good.
Oh, they're just angry.
No. Just want to lash out. Get rid of some of that inner turmoil from their childhood when they're beat.
Yeah. You don't know any better. I mean, education is...
No, it's not that you don't know any better. People love their kids, man. People want to parent their kids well. Most parents are even if they are royally screwing up, they genuinely love their kids and want the best for their kids. People will die for their kids. They are like, people are not like, hey, I'm getting their jollies out of beating on their kid. Like, I don't agree. Like some people are, but I'm saying, I literally am a foster parent. I get that people mistreat their kids.
Well, your actions show how much you love your kids.
Listen,
not your words.
Any fair enough, but I do think, and there again, I'm not even necessarily a proponent of spanking because we can't spank in our house because we're a foster home and adoptive home. But I look at more like,
you definitely would if you could.
I lost my train of thought. But I was going to say that's why I asked what the consequences are. Because I'm thinking, okay, you're 2, you know, you smack that out, you disobey. Hey, you keep flipping over on your change table. You keep, you know, you're doing these things over and over that are like, okay, how do you train up? And I would agree, because I had somebody many years ago, a guy used to sell cows to, he said to me, you know, the bulk of your heavy parenting is done at a very young age, like the correcting. And after that, you know, like I would agree with you, it's relational based.
But usually people that have been beat by their parents or hit a lot, those parents are doing it almost never when they're calm. They're doing it when they're angry.
Okay. My mom got better and better at that as she got older when I was disciplined.
How hard to hit you, or where to hit you, or?
Yeah, just staying calm.
Staying calm.
Well, having the conversation, like just letting it be a teaching moment. Like just saying, hey, Gary, like, I love you. This is not pleasant for any of us, but like, you're an idiot. You need a tune-up. Which
is why I think the best thing you can do as a parent is to work on yourself. Because if you yourself deal with your crap and stuff like that and become a calm, kind, gentle person, everyone else is going to benefit. Yeah. But it's pretty hard to just like try harder and not work on yourself and expect your kids to behave well, but you're being a
And kids feed off their parents. I mean, we see it. Marie and I, when we're strung out or when there's tension between us and it's like, it's a crazy day, these kids, and nobody wants to walk on eggshells. If you're somebody that's making your kids or spouse or whatever walk on eggshells, like check your heart. Like, no, be okay with having the awkward conversations like I had today. Yeah. That's how this conversation started. I was telling you about I was getting challenged on kind of.
Oh, that actually reminds me. I want to talk about this. I texted it to you. Okay, so I still go to counseling.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my counselor last week about, we're talking about porn. And he said, I'll read what I texted you. He said, the first thing a parent should do if they find their kid looking at porn, or if the kid tells them that as an adult, or a child, they looked at porn, is they should apologize. They allowed them to ever have access to it. And how he explained it to me was that, is that what you're looking up right now?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see. I didn't even know.
It's not on.
I have so many problems, man. If I had porn on the books right now too, I just have I just won too many issues.
But it was interesting. He said your brain as a child does not have the capacity to like push that away and not want to go back to it. And so
as a kid,
pornography has like the neural pathways it creates and stuff like that. Like you're just not capable of understanding and not letting it be addictive and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he said, so if you're, started looking before the age of 16, 17 at pornography and stuff like that, and then got addicted, like it's not your fault. Like your parents didn't protect you. And I think that's really, really important because there's a lot of guilt that comes with that stuff. And I think when you can let go of be like, oh, I was a child, like I was 5 for the first time, and when I was caught when I was 5, I got shamed. Now, not because of...
They weren't trying to shame you.
No, it was just
a horrible thing that you were doing and they freaked out, which makes sense.
Yeah, but I was 5. I didn't know better, came across it, whatever. And, and so...
Yeah, kids that are looking at it at 5, it's accidental.
Yeah, but even 10, I mean, it depends if your friends are like that. But like, parents, apologize to your kids.
It was interesting. One of the things that Marie has said lately, and I think that, we've talked about it before, it's not talked about enough, but you can assume that most guys are watching it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of women do too.
91%.
Jonathan and Marin just has a podcast about that too. I haven't listened to it yet, but about how many women watch porn. But I do think that it's, so 91% of men, right? And I think that we just do a disservice not talking about it. And it feels, to me, it feels like we talk about it a lot because it's a big part of our life and our story and people that we're trying to help. But I just feel like, man,
go back, listen to the, I think it's New Year's Day episode, by the way. We had to go talk to through the last chapter.
Okay. It was good. It was good. Yeah. Yeah, it was impactful, which we're going to wrap up here, the main and go into overtime and talk about
Botox. Gary's so excited.
We got to pick a new book to go through, a good book.
Okay.
Open to recommendations?
I got some ideas.
You do? Okay. Are they on a list right there?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They'll come next time. Anyways, thanks for listening. If you enjoy the show, like, comment, subscribe, share. Only if you want to, as Gary always says.
Yeah, don't have to do anything.
Don't have to do anything.
Nobody wants to be told anything. Just like your kids don't want to be told anything, neither do you.
Love the sport. And if you want to watch overtime, you can do that at patreon.com
And you can join.
I'm talking.
Sorry.
Patreon.com / Furiously Curious. I actually had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, Gary interrupts you a lot.
I do interrupt a lot.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get him to do a coaching course so he can get better at listening. But
what I was going to say was, sorry, before I interrupted you, was you can become a member of the Federal Liberal Party, and then you can vote, and you can vote for a lousy person if you want to sabotage it. That's what happened in the Conservatives, right? Everybody voted for Andrew Scheer to save supply management.
yeah, all the dairy farmers, all the dairy farmers that never lift their finger on abortion, all of a sudden their money got touched and they showed up at the polls.
Let's end on that. Savage. End on that.
Cheers, boys.